What's up, everybody? So in this video today, we're going to be talking about how frequently should I train Jiu-Jitsu, why I should train this amount, and my thoughts about it. So in that, we're going to get this video started right now. What's up, everybody? My name is Chasen Hill. I'm a Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I'm a full-time Jiu-Jitsu instructor. I also help run an academy. So if you like all things Jiu-Jitsu, this is probably a good channel for you guys. Please hit the like down below, subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. I also do some narrative sparring breakdowns of me training, also some technique videos, and then of course Jiu-Jitsu talks like this. So in today's video, the topic is going to be how frequently should I train Jiu-Jitsu? This is an extremely common question I get asked by brand new students and even actually current students on their ideas, their training schedule, and when they should train. So Jiu-Jitsu is one of these things that you can't really do on your own, unfortunately. You have to have a partner. Most of the time you have to go to an academy, and so you're looking at the class schedule, you're just now determining, okay, I'm wanting to train, I'm a new student, I'm looking at the class schedule. It looks like they have classes offered 5, 6, 7 days a week. How many classes should I attend a week, and why should I attend these classes? This is such a common question, and it's such a common occurrence. And the first thing we need to talk about, though, is we need to identify who are you, and we can kind of identify who you are in two categories. Basically, are you a general practitioner that wants to learn for self-defense, maybe a little bit of fitness, just wanting to better yourself, just generally curious and wanting to get to Jiu-Jitsu? Are you this person who is a heavy competitor, right? So we need to determine who you are first. Let's start with 99% of you, okay? Most of you are a general practitioner, and then in your journey, you probably switch to becoming a competitor. Most people don't walk, in my experience, most people don't walk into a Jiu-Jitsu academy being like, man, I saw this awesome Jiu-Jitsu tournament, and now I want to become a competitor and I don't know anything. Most of the time people experience Jiu-Jitsu tournaments or become competitors because they started training, and then the academy talks about it, the students and the instructors talk about it, and that's how people get exposed to it. And then some people try it and it's not for them. They do it on occasional, but they're ultimately still a general practitioner, or they really love it and they move to becoming a competitor. So we have basically two categories of students, general practitioners and competitors. So the general practitioners, I always recommend that you start with a schedule that you can maintain realistically. Okay, it's easy. We get fascinated with Jiu-Jitsu. The first time you go to a class, you're gonna absolutely love it. You're gonna want more. It's like an addiction. But fight the addiction and be able to set a realistic and maintainable schedule. For most people, that's 2 days a week. Some people can maybe get away with a little bit more depending on your life, where you're at with your family, with your job, your other responsibilities. But most people can make 2 days a week. And that's a great first step into training. You can typically get a couple classes in, that's 2 days a week. That's about 8 classes a month, that's 8 hours a month. That adds up over time, over a year, that's quite a bit of training. So that's a great way to start. And then after you start training a couple days a week, then if, maybe you get to a blue belt, you get maybe a little bit in, you've been training for close to a year, and you're like, man, I really feel like I could come a little bit more. My schedule is opened up for that. I know what Jiu-Jitsu is like. Then you can definitely increase your training days. Some of the things I've seen people kill their Jiu-Jitsu journey, in my experience, is people will start training. They come in day one, they start training for 4 or 5 days a week, and then they can do that for a little bit, and then life smacks them in the face, and they can only come maybe 1 day in the week for a little bit, and they can only come 2 days a week, and then they're just like, what's the point? And they totally quit training. And that totally defeats the purpose of Jiu-Jitsu. You're not gonna get any better if you just quit. So don't be that person that starts off training 4 or 5 days a week and you're like, yeah, I'm this BA person that really is training, I train a lot, and then guess what? In a year, you're not there anymore. Yeah, you're not BA anymore, you quit training. So the person that trains the 2 days a week and they stay over time, they're gonna become more BA than the person that quit training after 6 months and they trained every day. So jiu-jitsu, unfortunately, is a marathon, okay? It's not a sprint. You can't just train all the freaking time and then instantly get better. It takes time to come in. That's a big problem also. I'm a fitness professional. I do some personal training too, and people start changing their life way too much when they want to make a giant fitness journey change. They want to change their diet. They want to add twice as much exercise as what they need. They do all these big changes and it's not maintainable. It's the same thing in jiu-jitsu. If you start by training 5, 6, 7 days a week, that's usually not maintainable for when you first start. Unless you're a 21-year-old kid, you got no responsibilities, you got a bunch of disposable income, you can do that, great. Now, if you're the competitor, let's talk to the competitor. The reality of the fact is, you training 2 days a week, you're probably not going to be a very good competitor. That's just the unfortunate part. So if you're the competitor, you better be upping your training. You better be training 4 or 5 days a week, and you better be doing some video watching and note taking, always thinking about jiu-jitsu. There's a lot. The sport is growing tremendously fast. There are people who are literally quitting their jobs to become full-time jiu-jitsu competitors because the sport is growing, people are able to make more money. So if that's what you want to do, you need to commit to that route. Most high-level competitors don't start as high-level competitors. They all start at white belts, just like all of us did. So they start off being that general practitioner. They come when they can. They started 2 or 3 days a week, and they're able to maintain training. And then over time, they're like, man, I want to try a tournament. They try a tournament or they try a competition. They end up liking it, and they end up shifting their training. So what I'm saying is you can definitely start off over here as being a general practitioner and then move over here to being a competition person. So your training can evolve over time. But most of the time where I hear this problem is from a newer student, right? They don't know how often they should train. They think training more is going to be better for them. And I always give a safe warning, hey, be careful. Don't overtrain. Don't do all these things, because then if you can't maintain the same training schedule, you're going to feel like you're down and you're not improving anymore. And what's the point? Then you're going to end up quitting. And I know you guys are like, Chase, that's over exaggerated. I would never do that. I have seen it. Countless times I have seen it. I call a student, hey man, why aren't you coming in? Well, I can only make 1 or 2 days a week. You know, I was training 5 days a week, so I don't want to come back till I can train that much again. And to me, I just scratch my head when I hear those things. Training 1 or 2 days a week is way better than not training at all. You're not going to get any better by not training that way. So don't have that mindset. Jiu-jitsu is way more mental than it is physical, especially later on. If you're that person out there and you're maybe new to jiu-jitsu and you're not sure how often you should train, definitely think about that. Am I a general practitioner? Okay, if I am, maybe 2 or 3 days a week, find the class schedule, figure out the classes that are best for you, and that most people can do that. Most people can find a couple hours out of their week to go train, and then you can still do the other fitness things in your life and your job and everything on top of that pretty easily. Now, if you're identifying yourself as a competition person, or maybe you're a general practitioner and you want to shift to becoming a competition person, you better be upping your game. You better be going at least 4 to 5 days a week, I would say. You need to be training frequently. You need to be thinking about jiu-jitsu, watching jiu-jitsu matches, taking notes. So it's not just in-gym training that you're now responsible for. You have to be mentally thinking about the game, watching videos, breaking down techniques. You have to now become more of an athlete and look at this as more of a job perspective versus you just being a person that shows up at the gym and just trains when you're there, and that's the only time you have to worry about it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If you're thinking about having that problem, how often should I train, how frequently I should train, remember you got to identify, are you a general practitioner? Am I just starting out? So making sure that we're not training too much to maintain a easy, maintainable schedule that's doable to get you to black belt one day. Or am I a competition person that I really need to up my training because I'm wanting to compete at the highest levels? So hopefully these things help you guys out. I know these are things that I wish I would have known when I was a white belt because I didn't really know either. If you guys like this video, make sure you give it a like down below. Also, make sure you give me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, a quick plug. I just started a podcast just recently. It's called the Chasen Life Podcast. So if you're into podcasts and you like a little bit longer form, I do an interview style. I typically have a guest on. We talk a lot about jiu-jitsu things, so make sure you guys check that out where all podcasts are found. The Chasen Life Podcast, I greatly appreciate it. And until next time, you guys take it easy. I'll see y'all later.